Please be advised, this episode may stir up emotions and controversy. Due to the length, it has been broken up into 2 parts. Ray and I would like you to know that we appreciate all of you who appreciate us. We do not discriminate based on race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation.
And now, I talk back with Ray
I'm telling you, I couldn't make it up if I tried.
and Mandy.
You've got to be freaking kidding me. You know what? That's all I'm saying.
Hey guys, welcome to I Talk Back. I'm Ray.
I'm Mandii.
And we're going to have a very interesting, to say the least, show today. It's either going to be a 2-part show because we talked it's going to be a really good long conversation. So that's necessary, relevant, and just needed, quite honestly. So, but yeah, we're going to be talking about all things kind of politics. They just had the presidential debate with Biden and Trump the other day. So we're going to touch on that a little bit. And it's just going to be a great episode. Just open conversation, honest dialogue. I can't wait to see the comments after we are done.
Yes, please talk to us. Let us know your thoughts. This is one of the episodes where it is a necessary conversation. It is one of the hard conversations. It's really hard for people to talk about things like this because it's a very opinionated subject, which is fine. We need to have this open dialect because the more that we talk about it and get comfortable with it, it will no longer be uncomfortable and people will feel better about discussing it openly.
Awesome. Stay tuned.
Yeah. But it's hard for me to watch movies like that, especially when, I don't know, they make me angry. They make me angry.
I don't know if you might be angry. I don't know if you would be angry, honestly.
Well, I know they make her do things she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
I know that. And that makes me angry.
But when you read the Pilot 2020,
like Antebellum.
Because you know what they say, they always give us hints before they do some shit.
You know, Ray. That's why you gotta keep your eyes open. And your ears to the ground. But like that movie Antebellum, Taviana was like, you need to watch that movie. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it. That movie had me hot.
Really?
That was
maybe I need to watch it. I don't think I've ever watched that.
You'll be mad. You're gonna be done with that movie. Don't make sure nobody talks to you for like 2 hours.
Really?
That movie had me mad. I don't like that. Because it's about slavery.
Okay.
And
maybe I did watch that. Is it where you go back and forth? Where they go present time, past time, present?
Yes.
Okay, I did see that.
And they're making her.
I don't remember it.
Like they had created a slavery world behind the scenes.
Okay.
And then,
maybe I never finished it.
And people, I just can't.
Because that could have been a bit. Maybe I just never finished it.
Let me see. And let me make sure I have the right movie that I'm talking about.
I think it's right. Because it was Janelle Monáe in it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
I can't.
I started it, and I don't think I finished it.
Girl, I can't do movies like that. They make me. They infuriate me. They really do.
Yeah.
Because I don't like watching movies where people are forced to do things against their will. Mm-hmm. It makes me mad that people think that they have ownership or control over someone else. And it infuriates me even more when nobody else stands up for the person who, for whatever reason, is not strong enough to stand up for themselves.
It kind of reminds me of, so remember I love the movie Origin, right?
Yes. Which, I was trying to remember the name of that movie. I should have went back to our podcast and watched that.
Right. Well, I was watching the movie Origin, and in there she takes a journey back to Germany, right? And the whole conversation is so interesting behind that. Mm-hmm. But it has a scene of this saying. I can't remember who the saying is from, but there's a saying on it, like in one of the museums, and it says, "If it happened once, it can happen again." Mm-hmm. And so that is what kind of when you're talking about like the whole political stuff right now, that's what it keeps resonating. I don't know why I keep thinking about that quote, and so it kind of makes me think like if it happened once, it could happen again. Absolutely. And for people to not be mindful of that and not think it's a possibility is what's so strange to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I'm just like, well, And then that's what's kind of scary. But then but like kind of like what people always say is that they always give us hints before things happen. Like they went back to, I can't remember the movie, but they went back to that movie that talks about a pandemic. And when you look at that movie from 20 years ago or however long ago it was, and then you looked at what happened during COVID, you're like, oh, that's kind of the same. No, it wasn't Contagion. It was no, it was another movie. It was just so interesting. I can't remember what it was.
I'm like, I love all those movies.
I do too.
I watch all those
when I
pandemic
teach like
movies.
MAs, I always watch Contagion in the class.
Contagion was like a replica of what happened.
And then when you go
COVID.
back, it was a damn bat. Like it was like, well, goodness
That
gracious.
was Contagion.
Yeah. No. That, I know Contagion, but the one that I'm talking about, it wasn't that. It was more about the government.
Oh.
It was about, I can't, and the people were talking about it like on everywhere, social media, but it was about the government and how the government thing and stuff like that. And so then I think about that, right? But then you also kind of have to go fast forward to, like I talk about Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
So you talk about Handmaid's Tale. If y'all haven't watched it, it's on, I believe it's on Hulu. But it, when you look at Project 2025 and how I kind of roll back certain things and talk about the family unit, and then you watch it, and I'm like, I'm gonna be a Martha, dude. I know how to cook. I'm older. I'm gonna be a Martha. But it's almost like, seems like it just can't happen. Yeah, it can.
I've never watched A Handmaid's Tale because, like I said, I just can't watch movies like that. Like that movie, Jordan Peele's movie, right? That movie, what was it? Get Out.
Yeah.
That one was insane, but
some of that stuff doesn't seem so far-fetched, to be honest.
Correct, and that's what makes it insane because when you think about it, these ideas, they came from somewhere. And
like The Simpsons, what does The Simpsons say about this? Because
the truth.
They always right. Simpsons always come out right.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, it is like, I don't know. It makes me a little nervous, to be honest. I'm one of those people, unfortunately, that when I get overwhelmed with things, I just can't deal with it in that moment. And I retreat, and then I'll come back later.
Yeah.
But that's why I personally did not watch the debate.
So we will start this by saying this episode is going to be very controversial.
Yeah.
You may not agree with what we think, and that is fine.
And we might not agree with each other, and that's okay,
and that's
too.
fine. Exactly. Like Ray and I might not agree with each other. A lot of people are not comfortable talking about politics. A lot of people are not comfortable talking about religion, and that is fine. But they are necessary conversations. There are things in this life that are necessary evils, and I feel like
but
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And these topics are one of them because it's not one of those things where out of sight, out of mind for this, because it affects so many people, not just you, right? Yeah. So my brothers and I, and it's so funny because we have some thought-provoking conversations at like 3 or 4 in the morning, which most people are sleeping, but my brothers and I, we talk deep. And we were conversating last night. It was like 3:30 in the morning, and we were having a conversation. Now, this episode is going to air past the debate cycle, so everybody might have calmed down by then. However, these thoughts for us are going to last forever, not just 2 weeks past or 1 week past, right? Because we're still living in a heightened emotion.
And the election is like, later.
Yeah. So. We were having this conversation, and my brother put it perfectly. He said, because I told him, I said, most people don't go out and vote. Because a lot of people think, well, my vote's not going to matter. My vote's not going to count. But you're not the only one thinking like that. There's millions of other people that are thinking like that. But what if somebody were to approach you and say, do you want to play a game with me? And you're like, yeah. And then they tell you, okay, you can play with me, but I'm going to win every time. And what are you going to do? Okay, well, I don't want to play then.
True.
So now you're not going to want to play because they've already convinced you.
And it's a head game.
That they're going to win.
Because they won the head game.
Yeah. So they convinced you they're going to win. So now you've taken yourself out of the competition.
And then 2, if voting didn't matter, there wouldn't be such efforts to suppress it.
Right. Right, exactly.
Right, they wouldn't be redlining and redrawing voting maps and restructuring counties to vote in this particular. It wouldn't happen if voting didn't matter.
Right.
There wouldn't be so much effort to suppress a vote.
Absolutely,
because it wouldn't matter if you voted or not.
Right.
Who would care, right? So obviously it does matter.
Absolutely, and
no matter what they try to make you and. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, the tactics work.
Because it's a head game.
It's a head game. So then they have won. If you don't vote, they've won the head game. And so they're like, okay, see, I told you.
Yeah.
Because so many people, like I said, they don't want to read. They don't want to do a lot of stuff. They just want to go on social media and get all their information. Which there's nothing wrong with gathering information. But at the end of the day, you're gonna need to put forth the effort as well to do some research on your own with some factual things, right? So. Yeah, I just think too, like people just like it's a head game, and if they convince you that what you do doesn't matter, what your vote doesn't matter, nothing matters, what is the point?
Right.
What's the point?
Yeah, and there's power in numbers.
Yeah,
there really is. And I'm like, get people together, rally together, and say we're all gonna go vote. Take a freaking carpool over and vote. Like just get people together and go vote. And it just is not even just the big elections, guys. It's the smaller municipal elections too that
and the
really
ones
matter.
Affect your day-to-day life more than you realize. I'm like,
yeah,
y'all worried about the president, and that's great, but who's in the Congress?
Right.
Who's in the legislature? Who's in the executive branches?
That actually stamp the votes.
Exactly.
That actually
bring those bills to him to sign.
Yes.
Like that's what you have to be worried about.
Because who has the House?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Who's in the Senate?
Yeah, and no one wants to worry about they can only do so much. Yeah. But those are the people that are going to be making those decisions to hand to the president to sign.
Or no, who gets the packets from the president to sign that says, okay, do we want to pass the bills that the president says?
Who's representing you for your state and your city and your counties. All of that stuff matters.
Those are who you're voting for. Yeah. You as the people.
Our taxes are county.
Right.
And state.
You're paying for them.
And city.
You're paying their salaries. They work for you.
Yeah, and no one is going to vote for them.
No.
They're just, it's like...
Because they don't get marketed.
The last thing was like 9% people turned out to vote for the for those laws and bills and rules and just bonds that really affect your day-to-day income.
Yeah.
And 9% of people go vote. Like, that's crazy.
And then look where our economy is.
Right.
Look where we're at now.
That's crazy.
And it doesn't just affect us. You guys we as a people, I should say, we have to start thinking long term. Like this is happening now. Everything has a trickle and a domino effect. Yeah. What's going to happen to our kids? What's going to happen to our grandkids? What's going to happen to their kids, their grandkids? Like, are we going to just leave them a shit show?
But think about what we're dealing with now was decided 5 years ago. Right? Like, people that, we're doing taxes and stuff like that. And like, oh my God, I don't get the refund like I used to. I'm like, yeah, because remember that when he signed, it was a trickle down effect. When he changed the tax law, it was a trickle down effect. So now you're just now feeling from what happened 6 years ago, 5 years ago. And then now everybody's like, oh, well, yeah, what we're dealing with now is what was passed 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So, but like people don't realize that. Yeah. Like this stuff, it may not hit you tomorrow, but it's going to hit you, and then you're going to forget about, like, oh, I should have went and voted. Oh, that's what that was for.
But where do people think the money came from to give them money while COVID was here?
Yeah, that money is coming back. Where you think it's not?
And people were getting paid more than what they made working to stay at home.
Unemployment stuff.
Being on unemployment, where did that money come from?
Right. No one.
It was free money. Money is not free,
and there's no such thing as free.
No, it's going to get paid back one way or another, because you have to get it from somewhere. I read somewhere recently that some states were trying to do away with property taxes. That they were trying to get rid of property taxes. That's fine and dandy, and your mortgage will go down because you no longer have to put so much in escrow. But that property tax pays for the roads, pays for schools, pays for our law enforcement, pays for our firemen. I mean, who's going to pay them to...
Because the state tax is going to go through.
Yeah, so they're going to get their money somewhere. So it's going to raise somewhere. And the economy is already shit. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like we are...
I think we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Absolutely.
By inaction. Like I remember one time I was leaving this job, right? And then they did an exit interview. And so I told them, they were asking what, any, recommendations or advice, right, with me going out. And I said, well, my biggest advice I can give to you, and it was the HR director, I said, is that what you don't correct, you condone. And so that's the same way I feel about just politics and just life in general. When you don't speak up for yourself, when you don't correct people, when you when you're in the position of leadership and you don't make sure that everybody feels respected, honored, heard, listened to, appreciated, valued, when you don't do any of that, that means what you're doing is you're condoning inappropriate behavior.
Yep.
And then you wonder why you can't keep a good employee, or you can't keep a good worker, or you can't have positive relationships within your staff. Because, I was always like a manager and all that stuff. But one thing about it is like, and one thing that used to irk me so bad when I was seeing other departments is that why is it that the people that do such a good job get crapped on the most? Like, so-and-so doesn't get their work done, so can you help them? Can you step in and help? Why? Oh, because I did my work, now I got to help somebody that's not?
Right.
Like, and so I would never do that.
Yeah.
I would never do that because at one point it happened to me. I was like, I'm not going to be that type of manager.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, but all that goes to say, like, it's all of this is a trickle down effect. So we have to be mindful of decisions that we make and just is even what we condone, and that goes in politics from our politicians, because when we're not correcting their behavior and changing it with the vote next year or next 2 years or next 4 years, and we're just going to keep on, doing what they're letting them do what they want to do without any ramifications from that, you're condoning it.
Right.
Right? So if my vote doesn't count, it's not going to be because I didn't cast it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's not going to be because I didn't cast it.
That's what I'm talking about.
So if the government is corrupt and whatever else, at least I did my part. I can't worry about what everybody else has to do.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do what I know to do, and and God forbid, if I don't go, the first person I'm going to think about is my granny. So sometimes you have to think back to your ancestors and say, because I don't want their sacrifices to have been in vain. And so, like, it's just crazy. Like, I was at Goodwill the other day because, I helped Goodwill. And so, at the school, that's why. But Goodwill had a South Korea location. And they were visiting. They're visiting now, right? And so they came to the school and they were like going to our classes and talking to us and stuff.
That's cool.
And they were just in such awe. First of all, one of the questions was, why y'all got so many people in jail? Like, you have to go with the visit. They're like, what?
Yeah.
Because Goodwill has a program for prisons. So they were like, wait a minute. Why are there all these people in prison? And then the other one was, and I talked about this before, Goodwill has so many grants that people can go to school for free, right? And so it was like they didn't understand why the classes weren't overflowing, like why the classes didn't have a waiting list. Because we're so booked out.
Yeah.
Because there you have to pay for education.
In Korea?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's like, because we do secondary education, right? Like, you can't just like go and
so they don't have public
free.
School?
Huh?
They don't have public school?
I think they have a public school,
Okay.
but I think after a certain grade you have to pay.
Wow.
Kind of like in Africa, I know. 'Cause
Okay.
one of my friends, he was putting his kiddos through school. I think after the third grade. I think, don't quote me, but after a particular grade, you have to pay to go to school. And so their thing is like they can come here to learn like their CDL and billing and coding, which is what I teach, medical assisting, phlebotomy, CNA, and it's all free. And these rooms aren't full. I don't understand.
Right.
But that just goes to show when sometimes when things are given to you, it's not valued.
Ray. Oh my God.
It's not valued. And so people take our freedom, which I'm a military mom. And so I don't take anything for granted.
That's right.
So like people have all these, and even our politicians are terrible about this. Some people just have lived this freedom, right? Lived this life of freedom, even though it may not be what you want it to be. It's a life of freedom that somebody laid their life down for. And for you to, because like I said, freedom ain't free. Because even though you didn't pay that bill, somebody did.
Yep. That debt was paid somewhere.
Look, the debt was paid somewhere.
By someone.
By somebody. And so because maybe you don't have any family members that have ever been into the military or fought. And I remember, boy, when my baby and the Ukraine stuff was going on, my mama, I know, we was praying, Lord. And I said, Lord, let him come home the way he left.
Yes.
That was always my prayer. Not let him come home.
Yes.
He can come home in the box.
That's right.
Let him come home the way he left.
Yes, with that breath in his
and
body.
And so that's why I just think like people like, even for those people, not everybody's in the military is conservative or Republican. I'm like, my God, not everybody in the military like thinks the way maybe you think maybe everybody thinks, or however the case be. Of course, there are some and there aren't some, but to just not go out and show them, you know what? I appreciate the sacrifice. I appreciate the freedom.
Yep.
I appreciate the black airmen. I appreciate the first ones, right?
Yeah.
Even though when they would come home and just get totally crapped on, I appreciate y'all sacrifice, and I'm going to show you I do if I don't do nothing but vote.
That's right.
You know, and so I just think the people just don't. They just don't.
It's like a right that we are given.
Yeah, but people don't appreciate what is free, what is given.
I know. That's
the
the part.
problem.
Yep, that's the part right there. And my thing too
They
is
take it
like
for granted. It's like.
And my thing too about I hate that people get manipulated, and I hate that people take it as a competition. Like you're either on this side or that side. Why does it have to be sides if we're all working towards one thing, making this place better for everybody, making it affordable, making it livable, making it a good place to be?
Because no one goes, people talk so much about it, but no one goes and cast that vote to say, okay, you promised this, this, and that during when you were running. You did not do this, this, and that. So therefore, your next time around, we're gonna make sure we get somebody else in there. No, y'all want to just keep voting for the same people simply because of what party they're in, or simply because of what color they are, God forbid, right? Or what last name they have, or whatever the case is. And there's no accountability.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Why would they change?
Right. Well, I was talking to my brother about that too, and he said that when Obama was the president, that he had some bills he wanted to have passed, and when he sent it to like the House and the Senate, of course, they're Republicans, and they didn't pass any of the bills he wanted because, for whatever reason, I can't say because I wasn't a fly on the wall, and I wasn't on the little, in the meetings, but this is what I'm saying. Like, whether they thought they were good bills or whether they just wanted to say, look, he made promises and can't keep them. I don't know. Whatever opinions y'all want to have, fine. I don't have opinions. I'm just saying they didn't get done. So now we can say, oh, he has broken promises.
But the biggest thing, if everybody remembers this, let's go back.
Yeah.
Whenever they were up for a new Supreme Court justice, and his last, I think it was last year, they were like, well, no, he shouldn't be able to vote in the next Supreme Court justice because he's going out.
I remember that.
And
they were trying to hold it out. They were trying to hold it out.
And they did.
Yep.
And they did. They held they dug
until
them feet in. Now, the same thing happened to Trump last year. His was even less than what Obama had left. And somehow that rule didn't apply. But no one wants to just call it what it is and say it black and white and say, well, this is the president and this is what happened. So then you make them legislatures and them state representatives and them senators and Congress people, they have to answer for that. But no one wants to make them answer for it. No one wants to just say verbatim, this is what happened with this one. This is what happened with this one. Why is the outcome different? If the rule applied then, the rule should apply now. But the rules are different, right? For various people, for various reasons. And everyone wants to act like they're just a fly on the wall and act like they just are like, oh, well, I don't, like everybody gets amnesia. It's selective amnesia.
For whatever reasons, either this is happening in the background, and so,
hold them accountable.
Yes. But nobody wants to say anything. Nobody wants to get in trouble. Nobody wants to lose their jobs. Nobody wants to lose whatever they're going to.
It's power.
It is. And
it's power.
There is way too much hate running around in that space for us to keep allowing them to be in power. Yeah. There's just too much.
Just vote them. You got to vote, get them out.
Yes.
But no one wants to, everybody wants to act like we live in this utopia society. And we do not. We at the end of the day, I mean, racism is alive and well. They just call it differently. I mean, you don't see colored and white signs anymore, but those same people that were part of those colored and white signs and still feel the same way that they feel, now they're HR representatives. Now they're doctors. Now they're attorneys. Now they're business people. Now they're the ones that are deciding who to bring a lawsuit against blocking a business simply because they're black. Now they're the ones that go in and doing audits, and then their IRS right to go in and do audits on people just because it's a minority-owned business or whatever the case is. So you have to. So it's live and well. It's just called something different.
Yeah.
And they just have different faces. They're not walking around with hoods on. They're walking around with business suits on. They're walking around with dresses on. They're walking around with pantsuits on. It's alive and well.
Yeah.
It's alive and well. It just looks different. And some people just have a hard time thinking, like if you never had to deal with it, they act like it doesn't exist.
Part 2 will be released on Tuesday, July 16th. Stay tuned.
Thank you for tuning into I Talk Back with Rae and Mandii. Please hit the like and subscribe button to stay updated on future podcasts.